Hi, I'm Rasheed, I'm a coach, speaker and author, and I'm delighted to be here with somebody that I've heard wonderful things about, Zoran Hochstatter. I understand that your background, first of all, you were a movie maker, dare I say even be movie maker in the past, and then I understand that you then got involved in something completely different, which is the healing business. So I'm just keen to know a little bit about yourself and your story.
This is dangerous because what you said sounded completely different. When I was coming here on the bus, I was thinking about, there is so much that film and healing, or film and mysticism, or film and India, or film and whatever you heard about anything has in common.
Right.
It's incredible. What, I was, I did my films. I was doing films in Hollywood, in Europe, whatever, commercials, many of them for many years. And then I, got, it was actually my wife did it. I was just helping her. We did a documentary on a certain type of healing. Now, see, documentaries today are not what they used to be. In the best possible circumstance, they may be good journalism. That's not what a documentary is. This is not what I learned about films and what they used to be. There's no emotion in it. There's just this side and that side and whatever. It's like, it's kind of boring.
Right, so you're saying that documentaries, that they don't necessarily, almost it sounds so they're rather methodical rather than really capturing the essence.
Exactly. It's just a formula that has to satisfy this and this and this, and then everybody does it the same way. Before the Discovery Channel, we had documentaries. Then 20 years ago, it all went down the drain. But now, so I, wanted to make something that will be not as everybody else does it. So I don't want to think of what you think about what I'm telling you. I want to say, look, this is fascinating, and then look at what is there. And that is much more emotional to me than saying, well, some people think this, some people think that. Well, so we know that. But when you have so I used a little bit of a technique of how you make films in terms of, we started a film with just a shocking slap in the face. We have leukemia, we have AIDS, you give it a treatment, and voila, there's a difference. And
how did you decide this area that you were going to look at? Because there is you've been making Hollywood type of films. So what made you decide that you wanted to do something around healing or wellness?
It was just very fascinating. It was just very, very interesting of what the guy was doing.
Right.
That the Manchich was doing something that I've never seen before, even though I knew about him for 20 years.
Oh, so you'd heard of
I heard of his name. I mean,
right.
Everybody in Europe heard his name.
Right.
UK is not Europe, all right?
Right.
But in real Europe, we all heard of him. And no, he's big. And so I knew that he is and that he's doing this, but I never saw it. I never needed it. I mean, never was involved in it.
And so for those who don't also know, so Manchich is a healer well known in bits of Europe, and you'd heard about him, that he was a healer, and then that you were interested in that. That's what sparked interest.
Stephanie and I wanted to make a film that will once not have a boss.
Right.
It does, she's the boss, but it's like normally, to have a director, producer, all kinds of people telling me what to do. And this time, we would do it the way we want to do it. So it's not like, every day I go to work and do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
So why don't we do something that is interesting, and then we just let go and learn something and see what happens. And that's exactly what we did. And it was fascinating how actually easy it was to me. I mean, it's hard work, and it took us almost a year. But it's, things were just coming in easily. People responded to it the way we wanted to. Like, we called scientists in America, said, can we do an interview with you about these things? Sure.
Right, so were you wanting to find out, so you'd heard about this healing method, and you were wanting to find out what other independent people thought of this?
It was, when we shot part of a film that includes Mr. Manchich, we saw that this was so fascinating, so strong, that we got to give it some kind of a credibility by, unfortunately, by American scientists and by the international scientific community.
And what was it that you were finding then? So it sounds that you showed up, and you must have seen something quite interesting that was going. What was the essence of healing?
You come to a room and people are flying around, people are bending backwards and whatever, as in the group, as he performs his healing with his other therapists and stuff. It's a very, there's 120 people in the room, and for 4 days, every day they come. And, they first come, everybody's sick and everybody's calmness, and then on the last day, it's almost a party. It's
Right.
like everybody's happy, everybody laughs, smiles, people are walking, canes are forgotten, and stuff like that.
So this is extraordinary kind of stuff, isn't it? Because it's the kind of thing that most of us freak out. I mean, I guess you've seen all sorts of
I'm telling you, you come there and you go, what is this?
Right.
This is a circus.
So what was your take on it at that particular moment on what you were seeing? I'm just curious.
See, when we had a meeting with him, and he said, he listened to who we were, what we were going to do. And of course, we didn't know what that was. So I was concerned about him because we heard it was cool. So he said, why don't you come and see it? So we came officially and observed one of his sessions for 4 days, and were blown away by what was happening there. So we said, well, we'd love to do something like this, but I'm going to have to go home now and see. We're going to have to do some research and see what this is. I mean, I'm going to make a film about something. He said, no. You will come here and you will learn it.
Right.
Then you will know what the film will be about.
Right. So he wanted you to come and learn. So you knew pretty much. It's a bit like me coming here today, because
Exactly.
all I've heard is I've heard a little bit about you. I've heard about this type of healing. I've heard that it's very, very powerful, and I've just shown up. And so you probably was a bit like that. You just showed up and you just saw.
We took a seminar that he has, the class, just like the people are going to take tonight here, and the level 1, and we learned the techniques.
Yeah.
And then, immediately started working. And as we were then for months filming, I was also working on this. And of course, a lucky thing was that I was through making this film. I was with Zdenko Domancic for weeks at a time, over and over and over again every day. So we spent a lot of time together. I was present at a lot of things that had the privilege to be there all the time.
So what was the essence of what you were seeing here? And I'm going to hopefully see this evening. So what I understand about about the healing is that it's like bioenergy healing. It suggests that it's energetic
It's
healing.
energy therapy. It's energy modality. Now, what is different with this method is that Zdenko was the first one that had the guts to say everybody can do it. It is not an ability, it's knowledge.
Right, because most healing that people will have, you go to a doctor, you might go to some kind of therapist who works with the body, depending obviously what it is.
Yeah.
But this is, I get the feeling that this is something quite different, which is working far more at distance.
Yeah, we work with the energy body. So
right.
we work in person. You will be. It's a laying on of hands method, but
right.
you don't have to lay on.
So when you say the energy body, is that the kind of stuff that people talk about with auras, all this kind of stuff?
Aura, chakras, all those meridians that all exist. You don't have to know anything about that.
And did you, when you were making the films, did you know about auras? I guess living in Hollywood, you've heard about auras.
Well, yeah, but you hear about everything, but you don't know anything about it really.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is that when somebody gives you the knowledge,
right.
you can manipulate that.
Right.
But it's a very specific way to manipulate it, and it's a very specific way of your state of mind.
Right.
So basically, you have to forget about yourself, and we do it on at a distance. I can be in Sydney, you can be here, and I'll work on you, and there's no problem. It's very simple. It's just that it's very hard for people to understand how simple it is, even for therapists. They think they cannot be this simple. It is. It's even simple. It's embarrassingly simple, and it's also it's very simple what we do, but what happens is actually very complex. It's nothing to do with what we do.
Right.
And we do a very 10 techniques, but what happens is everything. It's life itself.
So let's pick up on that thing about it being life itself, because I guess in so many different ways people know that they are connected, and people talk about energy all the time. People might talk about how they can. They've got an intuitive feeling that somebody, they'll call somebody, they feel that there's a bad energy in the room and all this kind of stuff. Isn't all this kind of stuff kind of a link that it sounds like you're saying that, look, everything's energy. There are these, scientists talks about different fields. Is this basically the essence of what we're talking about, the fact that everything is...
It is the essence. We all know that everything is energy. Now everybody talks about it. Everybody now knows that everything is energy. Yet very few of us know how to use it. That's one thing that's different. Second is, when life itself, it's us that are screwing up.
Yeah.
It's not, So when I make you fix it in yourself, I don't do it, but when I get to you on an unconscious level, then you will fix yourself. Now it's harder and harder because we're all so alienated from mostly nature,
So what you're saying here is really fascinating. It sounds that because of all these complex levels, all this mind stuff that we're living through, this, that, and that, we're just not connected on that nature level therefore we cause so much disease to start with.
We are too much here.
Yeah.
Not enough here.
Oh, quite right.
So
and I often say that to people.
our mind is the one that screws up.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah.
And so how are we disconnected from nature? By our thoughts,
quite
by
right.
living in the cities, by listening to scientists, by listening to television, by listening to all kinds of crap that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that makes us, distance us even further from the nature, which is we are part of. So we get ill, we get disease.
So what you're saying is wonderful. So I guess that during the course of when you were in this seminar, it must have been really, really extraordinary that suddenly you realise, like, there's all this stuff, all this kind of noise, kind of stuff. Living in somewhere like Hollywood, there's probably more noise than most other places. So what then happened where you then became interested beyond making a film?
Very simple.
Yeah.
What happened is that, since it's the way I am, responsibility.
Right.
Responsibility of knowledge. Now I know something, how to do something, and I see performing myself all the time. I'm doing it, it works, so now how can I stop doing that? I mean, it's something that's good, it's something I can help somebody, with a disease or whatever. So that, in essence, you change. With this knowledge, you change.
And do you find that with lots of people, other people who you meet who come?
Some
that
they all get changed, they all change. You go to our seminar, you will be changed. You will not walk out in 3 days as the same person. Now, whether you like it or not, but you may have a green head or some horns. There'll be all kinds of things that happen. Just kidding, but it is you will change.
Yeah.
Now, whether you're going to have enough, whether you're going to be strong enough to accept its responsibility, to do it the right way.
And it sounds to me as though that you're saying that before everything, there's energy, and that anybody, you're making that point that anyone can heal if there's that openness to it. And you said something that there's almost this thing about a responsibility. Certainly for you, this responsibility. You learn these skills, or things dropped away to help you just enable those skills that were already there in order to.
Yeah, we all have that.
Right.
We all have those abilities.
Yeah.
It's innate in us. We don't need to change. We don't have to have any special abilities. You just have to learn it. But where the responsibility comes in, and where it's hard for some people, is that they cannot accept the simplicity of it.
Right. Yeah.
They can't accept it. It's not me that, I'm very special, but you can do it too, so that I'm not that special anymore.
Right.
So how special am I? People want to be special. And if you were as special as I am, then, oh God, they would not be
Well, it's
special.
also interesting because we're in an interesting era, isn't it, when it comes to healing and so on? Because on the one hand, lots of people will have particular concerns, whether it's mental or something physical. They go to the doctor, they have pills or whatever it is that they do. And it's often seen that somebody's health and well-being is somebody else's kind of responsibility. And then at the other hand, we have this kind of thing that, what's being perceived is that certain types of that medical and scientific thing, that is healing. And when people are talking about other types of healing, be it that people are healing with natural things or the kind of bioenergy, what you're talking about, lots of people think, hang on a minute, that's a bit way up there, that's a bit kooky and so on. Presumably that must be a huge challenge with doing the work that you're doing, that lots of people think, hang on a minute, is this just all airy-fairy kind of stuff?
You'd be surprised how many people are disappointed with the other side. So what's wrong with the other side is it's monopoly. You can't have a monopoly. Because if you make it a monopoly, then you take the responsibility. And, then you have to deliver. But they don't always deliver. And that's
so you're saying lots of people just find that just doesn't work for them.
Exactly.
It just doesn't work for them.
Now, whether they believe us or not,
Right.
I can go there where I don't believe,
Right.
where it doesn't work, or I can try this. They
Yeah.
have not much to lose because we don't have any side effects or anything like that. This is life itself, and it doesn't. There's no chemistry. There's no danger there. And if you do it right, you really can't hurt anyone. And everything. Why people are thinking whether they should go here or there, it's a fear. How do they establish monopoly? By fear. Nobody's afraid of me. They may think I'm kooky and look funny, but they afraid of me. But I'm afraid of every doctor, for Christ's sake. They have knives and saws and whatever they have.
Well, that's actually a really good point to make, isn't it? That is very, that's quite scary. Yeah.
It's scary. I mean, you imagine somebody, put you under and do whatever, and they tell you,
And that's a good point. We'd be more expect that than where somebody's just...
Exactly.
Right. So tell me a little bit about, before we close, I'm really interested to know a little bit about today. We're here is one of the days you're running a 3-day...
a level 1.
Level 1, so which is, of course, to help introduce people to this type of healing.
It actually, it's not just introduction, it actually teaches you by tomorrow night. They will know all the techniques. Then we'll do some practicing and they will get the protocols on Sunday, but by Monday morning, they will be able to practically do what I do. To prevent the gangrene, or to prevent a chopping off of the foot because somebody has a gangrene, or remove it, but solve the problem with tumors or anything.
And that is extraordinary. I would imagine that when you speak to people like doctors, some people will say, "Hang on a minute, this is absolutely absurd." Do you get people who from medical coming here to...
You'd be surprised how many doctors take our seminars,
really?
And how many doctors come to healing.
Are they coming here because they know that there's another aspect to healing?
Exactly, and they know that this works. And it's the problem with they cannot heal. I mean, surgeons can do something, but they do not heal. They heal through these chemicals that they give you that somebody else produces. So doctors are really kind of disappointed right now, and feel the sort of...
I see. So you can kind of fix or you can address, but you can't necessarily heal.
Listen, there's people coming, doctors, all kinds of doctors, pharmaceuticals, chemists, NASA scientists, National Institute of Health in America. They come and take our seminars. They want to.
What kind of things do they say to you? Do they say, "We know there's this other aspect to healing. We know that sometimes there's everything from a placebo to all this kind of stuff," or do they just not that? They just
they take notes.
They take notes, really.
They don't
quietly and
leave. No, they do. But you mentioned placebo. What's wrong with placebo? Placebo is only wrong for them because it shows that what they do doesn't work. But placebo is just psyche is a part of you. There is no disease without a psyche part, without an emotional part. So everything you have is because of that as well. This is all being... See, we have nothing to do with medicine. I mean, we are completely different. And what we do what's diametrically different is that we address the health, not the illness. We don't deal with illness. This is why we don't have to know the medical stuff, because it doesn't interest us. The information about health is already contained in this energy, and we just have to be honest enough to not add any of our crap.
Right. It reminds me a little bit of, I used to be, years ago, I used to be a volunteer for the Samaritans to help people in their distress and so on. Apparently, many years into being a volunteer, I was told about the story about the person who was behind it, and apparently this guy was, I think he was he was a man of faith and so on, and he had heard somebody who took their life because of difficult circumstances, and then he set up that people could come to his church or wherever he operated from to come and speak to him so they wouldn't take their life like this poor young girl had. And apparently it became so busy, all these people came to see him, and he was so busy he didn't have time, people had to wait, and so he asked these local women to come along and make people cups of tea. He found over a period of time, by the time people came to see him, they were fine. Because these people were just listening, not without any kind of, they didn't have any particular perspective, they were just there and they were just very present. And so it's very interesting, isn't it? That power, that connection of real presence. Tell me a little bit about, I want to just, before we close, ask a little bit about you and the work now. You did indicate before that this particular method, this bioenergy method, this Manchus method from this guy, is he from Serbia originally?
He's from Croatia.
From Croatia, beg your pardon. And so it's well known in certain parts of Europe. Yeah. I understand that part of your remit is spreading that word. Tell me a little bit about what's the, and the work and helping people. Where are you all at now? What's your objective? What is it you're wanting to do to just open this doorway of another way that people can?
Zdenko's been doing this for 35 years, and this is why everybody knows him, and he has his clinic, and that's where he also started teaching the method to other people, because you can only work on this many people a day.
Right,
So,
yes.
and if he teaches more people, then more people will be working on more people. So he started seminars about 15, 20 years ago, and the way he teaches them now, and a lot of people are learning that, and they can work inside of their families with friends and stuff, which would be great. Imagine the fact that if every family had 1 or 2 people knowing how to do this. I mean, nobody. I mean, there's always the right time and place for medicine and other things, but all the little stuff. I mean, I haven't had an aspirin since 2004. So, I mean, this is, your immune system is boosted, and because it's all about immune system, and that is going to make everybody happy and keep them healthy. So, this is the idea of, saying that the people can help themselves and put their health in their own hands. So, and then, after we made this film, and he saw what I do and how I do it, he asked me to take this to the English-speaking world, and mostly, basically, UK, US, Canada, Australia, and all the places where the people speak English. Even though you can go to his place, but you can only have so many seminars as well. So he made me the only teacher in the world besides him to teach this in the English-speaking world.
So how did you feel about that at that moment? That's quite a responsibility. Although you've got the look, you've got the right look.
The look is good.
The
look is good. See, this is in film the same. I had the right film look for the film as well, so it's very connected. So. No, I'm kidding. It's yes. It is a lot of responsibility. Yeah. Besides to my students and my clients, I have a huge responsibility to the method, which is the same as Mr. Mush. He's the only living master. He's the only master that made his own method. This is really not just taking pieces from here and there. This is completely different in structure. The same energy as everybody else. There's only one energy.
I just want to ask one last thing on that thing about method, because I think that one of the things that often, I guess, gets lots of people lost or caught up is the idea of method, denomination, this, that, and that. Sometimes I guess these things are just in a way names, but I guess some people, are in a place where the place of the, I guess perhaps where they're authentically playing, which enables them to do those things effectively. What's your take on that? Because sometimes people think, this works, or this is that, or that's a variation of this.
Exactly. Look, most of the people will, they learn, they study, and they read all the books, and then they take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, put it all together, and give it their own name.
Give it their own name, yeah.
So there's Rasheed's method of whatever.
Yeah.
That's, sure. And 99.9% of people do exactly that. There are some real ways of doing things, but those people are gone. The masters are gone. There is no living masters besides, I just can't, I'm not saying he's the biggest healer, the best healer. There are many people that can do just as good or better, but they don't teach it. Okay. You can't learn it.
So there's this thing about that actually being in the world and doing that.
This is thing westernized and made so anybody can do it.
Right, okay.
Because what we teach here is not what Mr. Dimash can do. I'm teaching you what you and I can do.
Right.
So what he can do, who knows? But do you want to fly around? You don't want to fly around. Levitate and stuff. That's
scary to me.
That's what I'm saying. This is not a circus.
Yeah.
This is not, it sounds, when people can't explain it, then they call it miraculous or whatever. It's not, there's no miracles. It's a simple knowledge. And this is the greatness of Dimash, that he had the guts to say, guys, this is the truth, and this is how simple it is. And you can do it. And if you do it the way we present it to you, you will have practically the same results.
And do you have, before we close, do you have a sense that some people are more predisposed to... It's interesting, one of the things that I find interesting when it comes to healing and where people are at is that some people, it's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit like drama. People who are dramatic. Some people, their life is just caught up in a lot of drama and so on. Other people are more resilient or don't get involved in that. Do you find that?
I don't think so. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
To be an actor, you have to be a certain kind of person.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you struggle with it. For this, you probably have to have something. Everybody can learn to ride a bicycle, but not everybody's as good, to win the Tour de France. But everybody can learn this and will have results. But this special, you have to be able to control your ego. That's the only, and everybody can. Just most people don't want to. And because they don't see the greatness of it, or they don't see the smallness of
Right.
ego in general.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of you.
And what you describe it, and what I get a feeling from when you're talking is that actually, in the absence of that ego, that natural flowing, that natural of how things resettle and find their natural rebalance can happen.
I cannot put myself into this. I mean, I can say all kinds of things when I'm teaching because, you know, we want to make a show. But when I heal, when I do the therapy, there's none of me in there.
Mm.
This is that you have to step aside and let it work.
Yeah, and
that's what people, this predisposition you have to have, that you're able to do that you're able to say, you know, this is very godlike, but it's not me.
Mm.
And it should be.
Well, what's wonderful about that, it sounds as though that has so much in common with so many, in anybody who kind of heals in any kind of work, or where people are, or even how artists talk about inspiration, they'll just say, you know, just it comes, who knows,
Exactly.
It's just that thing that we're connected to.
It's like, you know, people, the artists say, well, you know, because I'm so smart and because I went to all these schools, listen to the artist, and his pictures probably suck.
Yeah.
So it's really, you know, we're part of it, we have this ability, and that's the responsibility of knowledge comes in. And, you know, if you know it, how can you not do it?
That's wonderful. Well, I'm going to leave you. I'm looking forward to being here, seeing you today, hopefully tomorrow, and experiencing the work they're doing. But I just want to wish you all the best with the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful work that you're doing. I just want to thank you very much, and thank you very much for your time.
All righty.
Okay. Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Take care. Pleasure.
All right.